Crossroads, Hagerstown. Story 7. The Warehouse. The building looked dead if you drove past it fast. That was the point. A long, low rectangle of faded brick near the rail line where the warehouse district still smelled like oil and rust and history. One side had a new banner, half hanging from a fence. Coming soon, lofts. But the banner was torn, flapping like a warning nobody wanted to read. On the front door, a small white sign read, Southern Star Auto Detailing. Open 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Legitimate, clean, harmless. And then the kind of place your uncle might take his car to before a date. And during the day, that's what it was. You could walk inside and hear the vacuum hum, smell the soap, watch the workers wipe down dashboards and polish rims. You could see a man behind the counter, smiling like he cared about customer satisfaction. That man's name was Darnell Nell Price. Nell Price didn't see himself as a criminal. Nell saw himself as a businessman. He said that word a lot. Businessman. He said it like it could cleanse anything. He said it like it could turn every bad decision into strategy. Nell owned the auto detailing operation. He'd opened it 2 years ago after working warehouse shifts and bouncing between jobs that never paid enough. He was proud of it, proud of the way his shop brought in steady money, proud of the way he could point to a receipt and say, "This is mine." But the truth was, the detailing shop didn't pay for the building. Not fully. The building was too big, too expensive, too visible. The building needed another tenant. So Nell rented out the back half. He didn't ask questions. That was his story anyway. I don't ask questions. He told himself that made him clean. The people who rented the back half didn't bring customers. They didn't bring deliveries during business hours. They didn't use Nell's front door. They used the loading dock. They came in after sunset. They came in quiet. And if you stood in the alley behind the building at night, you could hear the truth moving. Footsteps, boxes sliding, murmured voices, the sound of a lock turning. The warehouse wasn't dead. It was hiding. And hiding was more profitable than honest work in Hagerstown these days. On a Monday afternoon, a new man walked into Southern Star Auto Detailing with a duffel bag and a look in his eyes that Nell recognized immediately. That look said, "I'm back." His name was Jamal Price, 28 years old, Nell's nephew, recently released. Jamal carried himself like a man who'd learned too much too fast. He was thinner than he used to be, his cheekbones sharper, his eyes harder, the kind of hard you didn't get from the gym. You got it from concrete and locked doors and men who smiled before they hurt you. "Ma'am?" Nell looked up from behind the counter and froze for half a second. Then he forced a grin. "Look at you," Nell said, stepping forward. "You out." Jamal nodded once. "Yeah," he said. His voice was flat. Nell moved to hug him, quick and automatic. Jamal let it happen, but didn't hug back. Nell felt it, that stiffness, that distance. He stepped away, clearing his throat. "How you feeling?" Nell asked. Jamal's eyes flicked around the shop. "Like I'm late," Jamal said. Nell frowned. "Late?" Jamal looked at him. "Like everybody kept living while I was locked up," Jamal said. Nell didn't know what to say to that. He gestured toward the back office. "Come on," Nell said. "Let's talk." They went into the small office behind the counter. Old desk, filing cabinet. A framed certificate on the wall that Nell had printed himself that said business owner like it was a diploma. Jamal dropped his duffel bag on the floor and sat down without being invited. Nell leaned against the desk. "You got somewhere to stay?" Nell asked. Jamal nodded. "For now." Nell hesitated. "You got a plan?" he asked. Jamal stared at him. "You got a job for me," Jamal said, like it was a statement, not a question. Nell swallowed. "Yeah," Nell said. "Of course, I can put you on. Cleaning cars, running the register, whatever." Jamal's face didn't change. "That's not what I mean," Jamal said. Nell's stomach tightened. He knew what Jamal meant. Jamal leaned forward. "I heard you got the building," Jamal said quietly. "I heard you got that back half rented." Nell forced a laugh. "It's just storage," Nell lied smoothly. "You know, some people keep inventory back there." Jamal's eyes narrowed. "Don't play me," Jamal said. Nell's smile died. The air in the office went heavy. Nell lowered his voice. Jamal, he said, that's not your business. Jamal's eyes flashed. It is if I'm walking back into this family, he said. It is if I'm walking back into this town. I'm not trying to be broke. I'm not trying to be regular. Nell felt irritation rise. Regular ain't bad, Nell snapped. Jamal laughed, sharp, humorless. Regular is why people like us stay stuck, Jamal said. Regular is why moms work themselves to death. Regular is why you still in Hagerstown. That hit Nell like a slap. Nell's jaw tightened. This shop is legit, Nell said. This is real. Jamal leaned back, eyes cool. Is it enough? Jamal asked. Nell stared at him. He didn't answer because the truth was painful. Southern Star paid the bills, barely. It didn't pay for dreams. It didn't pay for escape. Jamal's voice dropped. I can help you make real money, Jamal said. Nell's stomach twisted. Or you can keep acting like you don't know what's going on in your own building, Jamal added. Nell exhaled slowly. He looked at his nephew. He saw hunger in him, not just for money, for power, for identity, for something prison had stolen. Nell swallowed. Listen, Nell said. You can work here. Daytime. Legit. That's the deal. Jamal stared at him. And nighttime? Jamal asked softly. Nell's eyes flicked toward the wall as if the building itself might hear. There is no nighttime, Nell said. Jamal smiled slightly. That's what I thought, he said. He stood up, grabbed his duffel, and walked out of the office like the conversation was already decided. Nell watched him go, unease crawling up his spine. Because he knew something now. Jamal wasn't just back. Jamal was looking. And in a warehouse like this, looking was dangerous. That night, Nell stayed late at the shop. He told the workers he was closing early, told them to go home. He waited until the sun dropped and the streetlights hummed on. The building changed at night. During the day, it was soap and receipts and customers complaining about stains. At night, it became something else, a place where shadows had purpose. Nell sat behind the counter with the lights low. He drank cold coffee and listened. At 9:30, the first car pulled into the alley behind the building. A black SUV. Nell's stomach tightened. He knew that SUV. He'd seen it before. Leonard L. Train Jackson's people. L. Train himself didn't always come, but his presence did. It moved through his network like a smell. Nell stood up slowly. He walked toward the back door that led to the loading dock. He didn't open it. He listened. Footsteps. A knock. A lock turning. Voices low, quick. Then the sound of a rolling cart. Nell's hands clenched. He told himself again, I don't ask questions. But tonight, the lie tasted sour. Because Jamal was in the front of the shop pretending to sweep. Nell turned sharply. Why you still here? Nell snapped. Jamal shrugged, sweeping slow. Learning the business, Jamal said. Nell's jaw tightened. Go home, Nell said. Jamal's eyes lifted. Why? Jamal asked. Nell stepped closer, voice low. Because I said so, Nell hissed. Because you don't need to see what you think you want to see. Jamal smiled faintly. You scared? He asked. Nell's chest tightened. I'm smart, Nell snapped. Jamal leaned the broom against the wall. He walked closer, eyes locked on Nell. Smart don't make you rich, Jamal said. Nell felt anger rise, but underneath it was fear. Fear that Jamal would walk out the front door and right into the back half. Fear that Jamal would say the wrong thing to the wrong people. Fear that Jamal would become a problem Nell couldn't manage. Nell grabbed Jamal's arm. Listen to me, Nell said, voice shaking slightly. You can't play with these people. Jamal's eyes hardened. You mean your people? Jamal asked. Nell flinched. Before Nell could respond, the back door opened. A man stepped into the shop. Not a customer, a soldier. Tall, clean, expression blank. He glanced at Nell and Jamal, then spoke. Boss wants a word, the man said. Nell's stomach dropped. Who? Nell asked, though he knew. The man's eyes were cold. You know who, he said. Jamal's posture shifted subtly, like he was bracing for something. Nell swallowed hard. "Tell him I'll come back there," Nell said, voice tight. The man shook his head. "Now," he said. Nell felt his pulse spike. He glanced at Jamal. Jamal's eyes were bright with curiosity, with hunger, with the dangerous thrill of being invited into the real game. Nell grabbed Jamal's shoulder. "You stay here," Nell said sharply. Jamal's mouth twitched. "We'll see," Jamal whispered. Nell followed the man through the back door. The air in the loading dock was colder, smelling like oil and damp concrete. The back half of the building was lit by harsh overhead lights. Boxes were stacked in neat rows, shrink-wrapped, labeled with fake company names. Men stood around casually, but casual in the way armed men look casual, relaxed because they know they control the room. And there he was. L-Train. Leonard Jackson stood near a folding table, sipping something from a plastic cup like this was his office. He smiled when Nell approached. "Nell," L-Train said warmly, "how you doing, brother?" Nell forced himself to smile back. "Good," Nell said. "We good." L-Train nodded slowly. "We good," L-Train repeated. "That's why I'm here, because I like being good." Nell swallowed. L-Train's eyes flicked past Nell toward the back door. "I hear your nephew home," L-Train said casually. Nell's heart stopped for half a second. He forced a laugh. "He just got out," Nell said. "Young, you know. He trying to find his way." L-Train smiled. "Everybody trying to find their way," L-Train said. Then his smile faded slightly. "But some ways lead to trouble." Nell's mouth went dry. "He ain't involved," Nell said quickly. "He don't know nothing." L-Train stared at him for a long moment. Then he leaned forward slightly. "You sure?" L-Train asked softly. Nell nodded too fast. "Yes," Nell said. L-Train's eyes stayed on him. Then he nodded slowly. "Good," L-Train said, "because if he knows, he becomes a liability. And liabilities cost." Nell's throat tightened. "I understand," Nell whispered. L-Train's smile returned. "Of course you do," he said, like they were friends again. Then L-Train gestured toward one of the boxes. "We had a problem," he said. "A package came up light." Nell froze. "What?" Nell whispered. L-Train's eyes sharpened. "Somebody skimmed," L-Train said calmly. "Somebody in this building took something that wasn't theirs." Nell felt sweat form at the base of his neck. "That ain't me," Nell said quickly. L-Train held up a hand. "I know it ain't you," L-Train said. "That's why you still breathing comfortable." Nell swallowed hard. L-Train leaned closer. "But I need to know who," L-Train said. Nell's mind raced. Workers. Random. But the back half was controlled. His people didn't let strangers touch inventory, which meant Nell's stomach dropped. Jamal. He thought of Jamal staying late, Jamal watching, Jamal hungry. Nell shook his head quickly, as if he could shake the thought away. "I don't know," Nell said. L-Train's eyes held his. "You don't know," L-Train repeated, voice soft. Nell's heartbeat pounded in his ears. L-Train's tone stayed calm, but his words sharpened. "I don't like not knowing," L-Train said. "Not in a business like this." Nell's throat tightened. "I'll find out," Nell promised. "I swear." L-Train studied him, then nodded slowly. "You got until tomorrow," L-Train said. "Then we stop guessing." Nell nodded, breath shallow. "Yes," Nell said. L-Train smiled again, friendly. "Now go," he said, "and keep your nephew out my way." Nell turned and walked back toward the front shop, legs heavy. He opened the back door and froze. Jamal wasn't there. The broom lay on the floor, abandoned. Nell's stomach sank. He heard voices deeper in the building. He turned and followed the sound. He moved through the hallway toward the back half, heart pounding. Then he saw it. Jamal stood near the boxes, talking to one of L-Train's men like he belonged. Jamal's posture was confident now. His eyes were bright. He was smiling. Nell felt sick. "Nell!" Jamal called when he saw him. Uncle, they cool! Nell's voice came out harsh. What are you doing? Nell demanded. Jamal shrugged. Networking, Jamal said. Nell grabbed Jamal by the arm and yanked him toward the hallway. Jamal resisted. Relax, Jamal hissed. This is opportunity. Nell's voice trembled. This is danger, Nell snapped. You don't understand. Jamal's eyes hardened. I understand exactly, Jamal said. You're just scared to take what's yours. Nell's jaw tightened. Nothing in there is ours, Nell whispered fiercely. That's the point. Jamal's face twisted. You sound like you lost, Jamal said. Nell pulled Jamal closer. You think prison made you hard? Nell whispered. It made you hungry. That's different. Jamal stared at him, breathing hard. Then Jamal's eyes flicked past Nell. Nell turned slowly. L Train stood in the doorway, watching them. The room went quiet. Even the men near the boxes paused. L Train's voice was calm. That him? L Train asked, nodding toward Jamal. Nell's mouth went dry. He wanted to say no. He wanted to protect Jamal, but L Train already knew. Nell's silence answered. Jamal stepped forward, chin raised. I'm Jamal, Jamal said boldly. Nell's nephew. I just got home. L Train smiled slowly. Welcome home, L Train said. You adjusting okay? Jamal nodded. Yeah, Jamal said. I'm ready to work. Nell's heart dropped. L Train's eyes narrowed slightly. Work, L Train repeated. You know what kind of work this is? Jamal's smile widened. I know, Jamal said. L Train studied him. Then L Train's smile faded. Then you also know, L Train said softly, this work got rules. Jamal nodded, still confident. L Train stepped closer, voice low. Rule 1, L Train said. You don't take from me. Jamal's smile faltered slightly. I didn't, Jamal started. L Train lifted a hand. Don't lie, L Train said, still calm. We missing product, and you the new variable in the building. Jamal's face tightened. I didn't take nothing, Jamal insisted. Nell's stomach twisted. L Train watched Jamal's eyes. Then he nodded slightly, as if deciding something. Okay, L Train said. We'll find out. He gestured to one of his men. Search him, L Train said. Jamal tensed. What? Jamal snapped. Nah. Two men stepped forward. Jamal tried to back up, but Nell grabbed him by the shoulder. Don't, Nell whispered urgently. Just don't. Jamal's eyes flashed with humiliation. The men patted him down, rough. Then one of them reached into Jamal's jacket pocket and pulled out something small. A tight bundle, wrapped in plastic. Product. The room went still. Nell felt his heart crack. Jamal's face went pale. I was just... Jamal stammered. L Train stared at the product in the man's hand. Then he looked at Jamal. His voice stayed calm. Why? L Train asked. Jamal's breath shook. I needed money, Jamal whispered. I just got out. I needed... L Train nodded slowly like he understood. Then L Train's eyes hardened. But you didn't ask, L Train said. You stole. Jamal's voice rose, frantic. It was small, Jamal cried. I wasn't gonna... L Train lifted a hand again. Small don't matter, L Train said. Principle matters. Nell stepped forward, desperate. Leonard, Nell began. Please, he young, he stupid. L Train's eyes snapped to Nell. His voice stayed low. You told me he ain't involved, L Train said softly. Nell's mouth went dry. I didn't know, Nell whispered. L Train stared at him for a long moment. Then L Train nodded once. See, L Train said quietly. This is why I don't like surprises. Jamal's breathing turned into sobs. Nell's chest tightened with panic. Please, Nell said again. Please, I'll pay it back. L Train stepped closer to Nell. His voice dropped lower. You're a businessman, right? L Train whispered. So you know consequences. Nell stared at him, eyes wet. L Train straightened, looked at his men. Take him outside, L Train said, nodding toward Jamal. Jamal's eyes widened in terror. No, Jamal whispered. No. Two men grabbed Jamal's arms. Jamal struggled, shouting now. Unc! He screamed. Unc! Help me! Nell lunged forward, but another man blocked him, hand on Nell's chest. Stay, the man warned. Nell's whole body shook. Jamal was dragged toward the loading dock. His shoes scraped the concrete. His screams echoed. Nell stood frozen, helpless, watching his nephew vanish into the back hallway. He heard the loading dock door open. Cold air rushed in. Then the door shut. Silence. For one long second, the building held its breath. Then a single sound cracked through the night. Not loud, not cinematic, just sharp, a gunshot. Nell's knees almost buckled, his vision blurred, the world tilted. Then the loading dock door opened again. The men came back inside. Their faces were blank. One of them wiped his hands on his jeans like he'd spilled something. Nell stared at them, unable to breathe. L Train walked to Nell slowly. His voice was calm, almost gentle. Now you know, L Train said. No more surprises. Nell's throat tightened so hard he couldn't speak. L Train leaned closer. And you're going to keep running your little shop, L Train said. You're going to keep your mouth shut, and you're going to remember what happens when you let desperation get louder than loyalty. Nell's eyes burned. He couldn't move. L Train tapped Nell's chest lightly like a farewell. Business, L Train said softly. Nothing personal. Then L Train turned and walked away. His men followed. They disappeared into the night like shadows returning to the highway. Nell stood alone in the warehouse, staring at the spot where Jamal had been. The building felt empty now, not dead, haunted. Nell sank into a chair, shaking violently. He stared at his hands. He thought about all the times he called himself a businessman. He thought about all the times he told himself he wasn't involved. He thought about the lie that kept him sleeping at night. I don't ask questions. But now the truth was written into his bones. If you rent out part of your building to darkness, the darkness doesn't stay in its corner. It spreads, it takes, it owns. Nell looked out through the front window at the torn banner that promised lofts and revitalization and a brighter future. He whispered, voice cracked. They gonna build coffee shops on top of us. No one answered, because in Hagerstown, buildings changed faster than people did. And the people who tried to live in the gray always learned the same lesson. There was no such thing as neutral. There was only what you allowed. And what you allowed eventually collected its payment. This concludes Story 7. If you enjoyed the story, please like and subscribe.